All right, guys, we are live. My name is Zach. I'm going to be going over 1,000+ charts today. We're going to try to make it through 2,500 today. Probably going to make it through about 1,000. If you have any questions, please pop up in the chat. I'm just going to kind of go for it. So I'm going to start out by setting our scanner or our screener right now. Now, when it comes to the strategy I execute, it's not going to require a lot of screener settings, just a couple. And it's mostly based on volume and price. Excuse the noises, that's my dog. I'm going to do 90-day 500. 10 days, about 1,000, 100,000. And then that's it. I was going to knock us down to about 2,400. Okay. So really, we're going to start out with the SPY of the major indices. We hit a lot of highs last week. Like that. It's not going to be a very risk-off week because we're still heading towards highs. I mean, yeah, there's always a possibility of a pullback, but there's always a possibility of a pullback. Oops. Small caps were raging past couple months. That's where I made most of our profit this week and last week, or last week and the prior week. So if we're gonna get a pullback, we're gonna probably get a pullback down to 215. And if that support fails, we're looking at 200, just a big psychological level. And if everything kind of goes to crap, I could see it pulling back to be rough. That's not a super strong support, but I could see it happening. I know, lots of lines here. But that's literally almost parabolic. So, I mean, it's going to happen. We're going to have a pullback. It's going to be pretty massive eventually. But, I mean, until we start getting stopped out of everything, we're not going to make a decision. Let's get into some charts here. All right. Apple looks good past 138. If we can get through that, it's a third time. This will be a fourth time if it wants to go higher. Amazon bouncing off support. I'm going to move higher here. Break of this candle. Looks good. Yeah, that's an earnings flag, so that could be a valid trade. Maybe put your stop loss at 262, 2062. Could see that. Add that to the week. Facebook's a little far from its breakout 278, but it's still a solid chart. We would just, I'd feel more comfortable. You could insert a small position right there, 270. And this one we actually bought into last week. I chose not to take profits on that candle, but we added, or I added right here, right into 270 again, a couple days prior. Pull back. I have my stop loss right 262. That's probably one of the better charts out right now. Not a fast mover, but still a solid chart, especially with more online purchases happening since COVID. I mean, they just came out with earnings and strong move right here. So you could easily say under 210, 211 if it makes it past that point. I mean, the credit card issuers aren't really big movers. You could still make some money off them, even if you're like selling options. You're not going to get a huge credit on it. But under 345, I marked this a few days ago. This is a good level to break out from. Obviously not ready yet. I mean, that's a pretty solid doji star right there, but we just need a lot more volume to get up to 345. It's tried a bunch. It's a pretty large macro pattern. Home Depot, this kind of looks like the Facebook chart. It's right under 285. It needs a lot more momentum to go up. You could easily buy in right here because this inside day. I mean, it's not a trade I'm going to take this week, but because earnings literally right around the corner. If you wanted to easily take this trade up to 285, if it decided to go that way, take your profit there before earnings. Not too excited about this one. Move higher. If it were to make a move higher, I would probably buy right here, 565, just because that's a small support and it has this, a small resistance, has this other candle of resistance right here. Make a nice move, and it's past earnings, so not too bad. Adobe earnings on this thing. It's not going to show me. It looks a little ways out. 500 break. Really good macro pattern. Probably a good trade for the week if it consolidates for one more day, move higher, depending on where the marks are at. Futures are still up, so looking positive on some breakouts this week. CRM, I mean, Salesforce, I don't really base it off what a company does. I know that sounds counterintuitive to a lot of what people trade. I don't usually look at underlyings. It's not a bad chart. You can see I kind of looked at a day where, or a few months back when it was going to break out through 260, uh, went against me right before earnings. I mean, it is a solid company. I mean, with the cloud infrastructure and everything like that, I mean, it's going to have a really solid edge. Um, with the direction it's going now, you could buy it here. I just don't see any discernible pattern, but solid chart. I mean, like Chevron too. I'm not. It's not a heavy mover, but you could easily buy 92, 93. See, Danaher, I mean, being past earnings, if we have a few more days of consolidation, the only thing that bugs me is this candle right here. It's pretty extended. Maybe 2 or 3 more days waiting for these moving averages to catch up. And then the break of 246 looks really solid. Same kind of pattern here, just on more on a macro scale. Sorry, dog's playing with a toy. So I'll add that to the list for this week. LKCO, give that a look really quick. If it's a penny stock, I'm not really big into penny stocks. Yeah, I mean, and the reason is just because this thing moves so fast. And if you're good at trading penny stocks, hey, more power to you. Personally, I'm more $15-$20 share limit. I mean, you could have made a killing off this stock if you got in around 75, 77. But this it looks really count out. Me personally, I'm very risk averse. You can see where I drew some Qualcomm. I mean, with the chip shortage, you could see some prices go up on those chips, causing a price increase of the stock depending on supply and demand. That's really economic scale, macro. But with again with heavy volume, it went down on earnings, so it's not really an interest to me at this time. Yeah, with LKCO being over 10, the 5 year, I mean, if you look at the long term chart, yeah, it was at that point, but it's if it was at 10, it's down 90% right now. And it's really hard to come back from a 90%. Really hard to time those small pops. Like I said, if you're good at it, watching those news and PR releases, absolutely you could crush it. I mean, there's a few traders I've met that make 6 figures plus trading those kind of chart patterns and news releases. With GE, I do think they have a great business plan. I think it's GE, yeah, or GM. I'm sorry, GM with their electric motors. I haven't looked into GE. With the market huge mover for me. I like my beta at least 1.5 to 2. If I can get a 3 beta, fantastic. I mean, McDonald's doesn't look bad. I don't think it's 2018, but yeah, that's a nice base here under 216, 217. We could easily see a move either in this week or the following week at that. Costco, heavy retailer stock, bounce off 348, maybe that 200 moving average white line. Could see a nice bounce back up. It's really weird going this slow going through charts. Usually I'm zooming through them. So AUDC and GILT, let me check those. Yeah, I can see how this would be a valid chart. I can see if we can see a small pattern here. If it gets above the 200, right around 32.5, 33, definitely some good opportunities there, especially if it breaks that 30, maybe right over here. 33 comes up towards 33 above 200, break out of that'd be a nice buy. I'd have to see about volumes, look into earnings, see how they went. Looks like it had a really solid drop, spike before earnings, solid drop after, but I mean, earnings don't always matter when it comes to technical analysis, but no, that's a good one. AUDC. Yeah, this is a solid one. I mean, this is something I would trade around 12. You see that bull flag? And then earnings really did a number on it, really took it to the next level. I would personally wait for this to set up again with another bull flag. Usually they do when they're this high momentum. I mean, if you could get in on another bull flag, phenomenal. You'd make some pretty solid profits. And NDM, let me see what that is. Oh yeah, that's a good one right there. I like that chart pattern. 17, get some more consolidation coming up. You can easily see that. Is this a SPAC? What is this? No. I do like that one though. I'm gonna add that one. Solid. Band and USDT. 4 hours. I don't usually go down to 4 hour charts, just because it's a little out of my zone. Okay, it is. Gotcha. But we can check it out. Let's say BAND. Base it's forming 186, right under 190. Third try is the charm usually on these things. Would like for these to get a little closer. These moving averages get a little closer to the price point. But I could see that taking off in the near future. I'm gonna try to get through all y'all's charts, guys. Trying to keep this under an hour, maybe an hour and a half, depending on how many charts we have. This, what is this? Crypto cap? I'm not really big into crypto. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't have a great, you know, analysis of this for you. This is outside of what I do. Usually Nasdaq, NYSE, Dow. I do a lot of, but UPS could get a bounce off 162. Especially after earnings. It's already after earnings, so we're clear if it can go, if it can break that small green candle. That's what was that, Friday? To the upside will be solid. Actually, what was that? Zoom. I would trade this one just because it's really, really high momentum. It's kind of hot stock right now. It's kind of like NIO and things like that. Their business model took over when quarantine hit anyway. So they're really in the, I don't really see a trade at this moment. Earnings is a little too close for me as well. I did mark this one to show again with the chip shortage might have a play, but I mean it's hard to tell. This was a big stock a year ago. Get a 94. If it breaks 100, you could easily play the 100 break really well with a pretty loose stop. Once it breaks 100 volume, it's probably going to go to 120, 125 usually with the $100 break, big psychological levels. I'm going to just add that to keep an eye on. So SNDL, I know that's a big meme stock right now, from what I understand. We'll Last time I checked that was pretty extended. Yeah, I wouldn't even come close to touching this one at this time. I mean, you see this huge red candle. That's a massive pullback. It looks like it's bouncing off 180, $2. I mean, with penny stocks, no, it could go right back down to 50 cents. I mean, you have people who are just buying here at the top and then finally capitulate down here and just sell the rest of their stock back to you. Overall, completely support the industry right here. There's a lot of great opportunities in the cannabis industry, but like I said, I mean, I'm not saying it's not a great stock. It could be. I haven't looked at their business model, but it could take off. This is a pod stock. Okay, perfect. Yeah, and it might absolutely. I mean, if you could put like $2, $3, $4,000 in this, if you could spare it and see what it happens. I mean, it's a gamble, but you never know. You could easily turn out to be like AUPH or CGC later down the road. Oh, perfect. Yeah, if you were in before the takeoff, you looking pretty solid right now. OCGN. I could see where this one has a possibility of a play. I like this pattern. Huge gap up. As long as it doesn't break $9 with volume, you could easily buy, honestly, right here where this inside day is. Just keep your stop loss right under there. If you, obviously, I promote using a stop loss. I don't know anybody who else doesn't use stop losses, especially when it comes to penny stocks or sub $20 stocks, because how fast they can move. You get in around $10, you could see some profit. I mean, I don't know how fast it'll take off again, but solid chart. Yeah, sub a dollar. That's you're looking at some pretty profit right now if you're in sub $1. Not really into bank stocks. Actually, GE. Yeah, somebody brought that up in the chat earlier. This is I don't think I typed it in, but GE does look really good. He had a nice consolidation, bull flagging. Let's see. I mean, this candle would have been great to buy in right at the break of 1160, 1150, move higher. I mean, it's still not too late to get in. You could probably add 1175 if you had a couple days more consolidation. I don't see this thing moving very fast, so your risk could probably you could have a pretty loose stop on this and really control it. I mean, at what $1.50 distance right there, easy. So CVS, they have earnings this week. I don't play earnings, but that pattern is very nice. If it doesn't move that much right after earnings, and if earnings are good, I would definitely get in there. I know they're doing the whole COVID-19 vaccination rollout, same as Walmart, so that might improve their stock price a little bit. I do like that. I'll probably keep an eye on that after earnings, like 70, 74.5 stays below there. If pre-market isn't too crazy, let me see if I can get my finger on that trigger right there. ATOS, check it out for you. It's a pop stock. It looks like it went through a lot of splits too. I mean, it depends on what your game plan is for this one. I don't know where you bought. If you would have bought down here 235, break of that 200-day moving average where that doji candle is, It looks like it might move higher. It's really hard to tell because this thing pops a lot and just comes right back down. Um, I'd have to look more into it, but it is a risky play for sure, being lower than $5. SKLZ. It looks like it's looking for support right now. Maybe, I mean, with these two, 37.5 looks like it's attempting that support, maybe down to 35. It's a pretty heavy range for that support level. I'd give it a few more weeks to level itself out. It could turn into a nice bull flag. Um, but yeah, just keep an eye on that one. I mean, it's moved right now and this market's going up. It's really hard to get a good grip on what's the next move because if this market has a downturn, this could just drop right back down to 25 easily. But I mean, stock trading, everything's 50-50. You never know. Can't overanalyze everything. I'll try to keep up with you guys. You guys been a lot of chat. That CVLG. Yeah, this one would have to have a lot more consolidation. Look at the longer term on it. It's a pretty. It's in a downtrend right now. Seeing if it could go back up to 35. I mean, that's a really heavy spread. I mean, look how long it took down from getting 34 down to 750. Almost what, a year and a half, just about. You could expect the same on the upside, especially since it's making low. This looks like it's a false pattern. It might go higher, the 200-day moving average, but for me to take a trade on it, especially short term, I'd need a lot more consolidation around this area. These moving averages need to catch up, and I would have to see it. I mean, these are three heavy resistance levels right here. So if it could clear 21, or if it can consolidate near 21, yeah, I could see a trade on that one. But not anytime soon on it. Yeah, I wouldn't even go near this one, to be honest. Um, you see these spikes and psychologically you're like, awesome, yeah, that's going to make me a lot of money. But in reality, this thing jumped, what is that, 310% just about, and then just dropped straight back down. It can consolidate right here around 632 and then make a small move higher, maybe creep higher. It just looks like it's a pretty risky bet to even come close. I don't usually buy on a red candle either. HDD. Yeah, I mean, it's sub $10. It's sub $2. Really, it's a really big, heavy penny stock. I mean, if you were being a pattern trader, technical analysis trader as well, you could probably buy at the break of this $1.22. This is a nice little bull flag. I wouldn't go near it until this flagpole work out and starts consolidating again. As you can see, like right here, around 80 cents, nice little bull flag there. Boom, could have gotten in there, made a huge profit, depending on what your risk assessment is. And then the break of this high right here, so 134. You could make the case if it comes back down to 135, making a small position on a support bounce, but that's, again, risky. I like buying higher. Melly looks good right here. I mean, it's a huge market cap with a $2,000 price tag per share. But again, I mean, if you're trading, it's not really about the price point. It's about the percentage gain on some of these stocks. You could easily make 5% on this one and make 5% on a penny stock and still kind of came up with the same profit range. I like this one. It's a lot more predictable. The higher the market cap, the more consistently it's going to move. I usually don't hold longer than a week either, so that's definitely going to go on the list. I appreciate it, man. CNK. Let me see what that one's about. Yeah, I mean, I could see. I mean, it's a little. I mean, the chart pattern here is not the cleanest. It does have an inside day right here around 2050. Depending on the larger outlook of the stock, it's down a lot over time. Generally, before that, had a pretty solid up movement. With this industry being what it is, I mean, it might make a comeback. I haven't looked into the nature of their business as of yet. Earnings right around the corner, 2 weeks. I'd wait for it to make a little more of a clean pattern. Yeah, I mean, that'd be nice. we're pretty heavy in the breakout right now. I mean, people are stuck inside, getting bored. I mean, we saw with the GameStop situation. I don't know if that's a fact of boredom or, you know, actually wanting to trade. Yeah, this was part of my watch list a few weeks ago. That break of 240. It's already moving. I never bought this one. Still solid though. Yeah, theater stock. I mean, this one looks nice with the consolidation. It's not a big enough pattern for me. I always say that and it breaks out, and I always miss the trade. But still looks good with the consolidation of the moving averages. It's a pretty large chance of this one moving higher. I should probably watch that. Probably not going to trade it, but I'll keep an eye on it. And not a problem. If you guys have any other more charts or any more tickers you want me to take a look at, feel free. I mean, I'm not gonna. We all have different strategies out there. My 2 cents is worth what. But yeah, I'm gonna try to keep up with you guys as I move through these charts. I mean, I think we've made it through about like maybe 250 of them. I think it was 2,400 on this watch list. Probably won't make it through all of them, but we'll make it through a lot of them. Snow. I actually looked at that one the other day. I remember that was a big one a few months back. Yeah, so it's hanging out right there where its original breakout was. That earnings completely 420. Um, Kind of funny. 300. You could make the case if it stays around this area to kind of dollar cost average in slowly. With a stock like this, I would usually like to see it extend out a little more, maybe break the 340 high versus this right here. This is more of a support buy, I guess you could say, and then maybe sell some the closer it gets to 340, then more as it breaks higher. I don't know what their earnings situation looks like either. Not the best. I mean, they're was that revenue? Yeah, revenue's solid, but net income's pretty low. Actually, very low. Dealer's choice: USO, AKER, INPX, CLF, NCNO. Do this in order. NOVN first. Let's do that. Yeah, super extended. Wait for it's that flagpole to come back down, create another bull flag, kind of consolidate like this one, and then break out. I mean, that's inside day is something you could add on if it makes another bull flag. It could. Momentum stocks currently, I've seen this pattern over and over and over again, even in NIO. I mean, I'm in NIO right now, um, but you see a bull flag, and then it might get another bull flag. It could go higher. I don't know, but it looks good so far with a momentum point of view. Let's see, USO. I think that's the oil stock, right? Yeah, oil fund. I don't usually look into macros like this or ETFs. I mean, if you understand that market, which I don't, I'm a hardcore technical trader. There's things I don't even look at companies sometimes. I mean, earnings is my number one thing I look at, earnings growth over time. But I mean, it's above all its moving averages. It looks to go higher if you want to buy, hold for a while. I could see that as a possibility. Let's see. I'm gonna check out a few more of your stocks real quick. AKER. Yeah, this one's. Yeah, well, I would stay away from this one. This one's down again. 90% off its highs. It looks to only go higher, lower. Sorry, not higher. Um, Me personally, I look at the top right corner, make sure it's moving in a consistent pattern to the upside, and it being a penny stock too, it could go straight south again. Yeah, again with this one, cheaper is not always better. But if you were to trade something like this, bull flags easiest technical pattern to look out for. These especially in penny stocks, it's gonna bull flag like no other, especially if it's above these moving averages. Again, right here, smaller inconsistent bull flag, but you got another one right here. Boom. Wait for it to work itself out, and then just look for the pattern on it. I don't do forex. That looks like a currency, XAU USD versus US dollar. I don't usually look at forex. I couldn't even tell you the fundamentals of it, man. SBGI. I had this one locked for 355, but moved away from it because it dropped so much. Ain't not a problem, man. I've traded this one a couple times, kind of moved away from it because it's not doing a huge macro breakout. That break of 167, if this consolidates for a little longer, it's stuck in this little bit of a range between the old resistance, new support situation, and then another resistance. It might be stuck in this for a while, and then earnings is literally right around the corner. What is that, the 14th, 16th? So tomorrow, Tuesday. We could see how this plays out. If, again, it's not too active pre-market. With Dogecoin, I don't even trade cryptos. I get the whole hype behind them, but I couldn't give you a great analysis of it. Don't understand the supply and demand. I mean, I've programmed for a little bit, but not a huge crypto trader. Know some people that made some good money in it though. APPS. Yeah, it's a solid one. It's going straight in the right corner. Great direction. Jumped a lot on earnings. So we could wait for this. I mean, you could technically call it a earnings flag. If it consolidates a little more and then breaks the high around 95, maybe in the next few weeks, that can make a pretty good move higher. And I mean, with the $100 level, you have a really solid psychological breakout point right there. VIX to hedge. I don't usually buy the ultra shares or anything like that, just because they're really designed to go to zero. VIX really chaotic over the past couple years with how the markets dropped down a bunch. I trade options sometimes to hedge my risk, or bring in like cash secured puts or vertical spreads and things like that, just to kind of bring in a little extra income. But yeah, I don't usually hedge. I'm very bullish on many of the stocks I have positions, so I don't even short stocks that often. Like, and it kind of freaks me out because the risk is it's not really a huge risk to short stocks, but I mean, you look at the short squeeze situation, the gamma squeeze situation with GameStop, and you could have easily gotten caught up in that if you were on the wrong side. I mean, I trade 1 to 5 contracts per options trade. It was like 20 options contracts, depending, and they're usually short positions. They're not like I'll sell the options, I'll write the contracts just so I can bring in some credits. I never really buy contracts unless it's part of a spread, just because I don't like theta decay, losing money on all that stuff. And shorty stock, and like I said, I mean, if I buy a put on something, I know what my exposure is. I know what I'm going to lose. When I short a stock, I could definitely put a buy to close order on it and see how that works out. But I've just never been a big short seller. I'll make a video soon on options, just because they're a little more complicated. Kind of give my strategy for you guys, but yeah, options they allow you to really bring in some extra income versus trading stocks. I mean, I've waited months for some stocks to pay off. Where options, I know if I sell a few contracts, I'll get some good decay and make some profit within the next few weeks. It's a dog. Looks like a cat, but it's definitely a dog. Fluffy. So no worries, man. So there's a website called Tasty Trade where I learned a lot about options. It's the guy who developed Thinkorswim for TD Ameritrade. If you go to Tasty Trade, they'll go over all of it, and they have PhDs and stuff that work for them, and They give really great videos, how-tos. They actually have a platform, Tastyworks, that works really well. Really solid. Oh, sorry, Tesla. Let me see what's going on. I saw them drop a few days ago. I mean, there's a pattern here. It has a flag. I mean, you see my wedge later last year. Never traded. I actually did trade it, and I got stopped out right there. Little did I know, if I would have just loosened up my stop, it would have gone up another 100%. This stock is crazy. With their Bitcoin situation, never really know. If it gets back up to its highs, I'll buy a all-time high breakout. But other than that, it's a solid stock. You just got to wait for the pattern to pay off. And it's like Amazon way back in 2016, 2017. Every other week was a chart setup. I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, it's always a 50-50 with charts. I mean, usually you see this pattern of it reaches its peak and then it always continues to fall down. It depends on the competition with Tesla, and I'm not a huge macro level. I'll jump in trades, jump out of trades over the next few weeks, and then I don't really even day trade. With stocks that are up this much, I always tell people, if you want to hold it long term, I mean, you can. You never know if it can go to 2,000 or 3,000. But if you were in, I mean, people thought 400, 500 was the high, and then they did the stock split, and then they kept going to the moon. So you bought 10 shares under 800, make good money. Yeah, I mean, right here, if you bought it when it was under 800, yeah, I would just hold it at this point and see where it takes you. As long as if it drops below your, how much you want to lose, you use a good risk management strategy. Solid. I don't trade Forex. Again, Doge, I don't. Yeah, I can't even understand the cryptocurrency world. One day I'll get into it, but I mean, that's the same with Forex too. The leverage is so high, and it just goes against all my risk management logic. Yeah, so NIO, this is actually when I traded last week, got in. I actually added to this trade. So I was going to trade it around $50. That's made a solid up to 64. I bought 200 shares around, what is it, 57.44. So I got in right here. I didn't even get in on a breakout. I bought early just because I saw the pattern forming. And then when it broke 58, 59, took some profits around 62. And then right here at this candle, this is a risky trade for me. This is something I don't usually do, so I'll probably have to pay for it. Added right here around 59, 58, 59. Yeah, it is a less risk for against trading stocks. Trading stocks, I don't even use leverage. I have portfolio margin, and I'm not going to even try to use it. I don't remember the last time I used margin on a trade unless it was selling options, and those, it kind of puts your risk aside because you know how much you're going to spend on the stock or you know how much you're going to spend when you have to buy the stock if it gets exercised. That's all I'm here for, helping you out. Is that Ford? Let me see. I mean, I remember looking at this stock a long time ago, and I hated this stock just because look at that downtrend. I mean, it's just awful, just continuously awful. With their new business model out, with the electrical vehicles coming out, I mean, you might have a cobalt shortage going down with minerals and things like that, but you buy the break of 12, just keep buying higher, and it should be solid. I mean, as long as it keeps making highs and continues patterns, like my biggest pattern right now is the bull flag. So you keep buying Ford, keep your stop loss tight. Should be looking for a solid gain on this one. Earnings came out pretty good. Again, I don't really like Ford just because I'm not an auto dealer. I don't really trade in sub 15 stocks, especially when they were going down so much. But it's above all moving averages. Looks very bullish. Trading story. I remember when I lost $2,000 on a trade when I first started trading. It was kind of when I was in the pump and dump penny stock situation, and I stopped trading for like 6 months. I know that's not a very exciting story, but my first trade ever, I can't remember the name of the stock. I made like $600, and I was like on this adrenaline high, and I used that money and I just jumped right back into something else, and it was down $2,000 for the day, and that was like almost my entire account. So I really just took a step back and stopped trading for a few months and figured out what I was going to do. Jumped around a few mentors and worked myself out. I use pretty much 100% technical analysis. Like the only real fundamental thing I look at, if because I'm a short-term trader, is earnings growth. That's the biggest one for me. Better earnings growth, more consistent. If the earnings growth chart looks like the chart pattern going up, heading towards the right corner, that's usually what I look for. I'm not even not gonna dig into it all. I appreciate the follow. Yes, earnings growth, absolutely. And this is just pretty much a watch list video. Whenever I go deeper into trades on videos in the future, maybe next week, maybe next Sunday or something, I'll look into earnings growth for you guys, show you exactly what I look for in an A++ setup. Right now, it's just building a watch list to see what I see in the market, what I need to keep my eye on for the week ahead. Right now, I'm fully extended in my portfolio. I don't have any extras. I have some extra cash to play around with, but with how the market is right now, I don't want to miss an opportunity. So got my risk already set out to the side. Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you all the details next week. I'll schedule another video. HGV. Yeah, give me just 1 second. I'll take a look at it. Not a bad chart. Looks like we. It's going to take a little while to consolidate into those levels. This is a huge level. Looks like it finally made back its gains from the drop back when COVID-19 hit. Everybody thought hotels were going to go down the drain. Hilton's a pretty large company, so we don't know. It looks like it's heading straight for that resistance level. Expect a pullback, especially on this candle. It just jumps straight up. If it consolidates for a few more weeks, what you're going to want to look out for is this 200 moving average to catch up with all the rest. It's about this distant right here. Roughly, not an exact, so don't take me for my word on it. It might drop down to zero. You never know. Stocks are risky situations. 35 does look like the level for us to watch, but definitely watch for a consolidation. At least a few weeks of consolidation, maybe a few months. With this thing, it doesn't move very fast. Yeah, I actually have this restreaming to YouTube. Use simple moving averages, EMAs. They're really, it doesn't really matter to me. I've always just used simple moving averages. EMAs are a little close to the stock price. But yeah, simple moving averages. I don't really, as long as I have them there as guidelines, just to kind of tell me what direction I'm going in, consolidation. I don't use MACD. I don't use any of those oscillators or anything. Really simple. Price is king, moving averages, chart pattern breakouts. I even use the same chart patterns on my options trades. I was going to say, if you guys are looking into these COVID-19 stocks, I mean, you could trade them on momentum. I mean, this isn't a chart. I don't see any trade in this chart, but I'm just talking about in general, like Moderna, all those other healthcare stocks right now that are dealing with COVID. Just have a backup plan for when this is all over to kind of cycle out of those charts or trades. Naked trading, such as like options. Yeah, I don't have a doctorate in economics. Couldn't tell you if we're in a bubble or not. I know the SPAC bubble is pretty big right now. It's SPAC's special. I can't even remember what they stand for, but they're pretty much blank check companies, merger companies. They buy out other companies and stuff like that. There's a lot of those right now, so I kind of see that as a bubble, but they're really good trades right now, so I'm not going to avoid them. Yeah, usually with naked options or naked stocks, when you're short something, always, no matter what you're trading, don't care if you're trading forex, futures, stocks, options, always have a exit plan. You don't want to get caught without an exit plan. I mean, I've had stocks that were easily sitting at $200, breaking out, felt good, and then next thing I know, they dropped $50 in pre-market, and I'm out a couple grand. So always have a backup plan. CCI, this is a solid macro chart pattern. So these guys break out pretty heavily and they go for 10s, 20 point moves. CCI I've been watching for a little while. This is some extreme consolidation under 165. This is definitely a trade I'm going to look at next week. If it breaks 165, even with moderate volume, I'm probably going to buy it. Probably going to put my stop loss around 165 point stop loss, see where it takes us. With 5 points, I'm looking at a 25-point move. So I'll probably take, what is that? 190. I'll probably take profits around 190. Yeah, no, I'm not an intraday trader. Sometimes, I mean, if the stock's moving enough, I'll be an intraday trader. A lot last week and the week prior. Yeah, this thing is shooting really heavily. There was no discernible pattern other than the one. I think I looked at this a few years back, honestly. Yeah, I looked at it way back here, 2019, and it's just now making its move higher to 71. Yeah, I mean, I just wait for it to pull back, consolidate. This is good volume, good move, but I hold my trades about a week and a half, 2 weeks at most. I mean, there's times I'll hold my trades for a day or two, and they work out the way I want them to. So, I mean, there's day trades I'll take, but I never really go below you know, the daily charts, just because it's a lot of noise from algorithms and things like that. ETON, $10. I mean, the break of $10 is going to be a solid one. Just a psychological level has a nice trend upwards. It does look like it tried $10 once, so you could expect a pullback, to be honest. I'd probably wait for a cup and handle to form, like this big cup, and then give it time to form a handle before making your move. But if you're anxious, you could easily get in at the break of 10. There's just no real pattern that I see. I actually started with $1,000 in my portfolio. I saved $200 a month at first and added it to it as I was learning to trade. And then when I got promoted at the job I had, I was doing like $400 a week into this portfolio that I was just adding and adding and adding and adding and adding to. Yeah, it's not how much you trade with. It's really about owning risk management. Because once you place a trade, you own it. Don't ever let anybody tell you it's or anything like that. 9 times out of 10, if a trade goes south, it's the market telling you to reevaluate your situation. If you lose a ton of money more than you're comfortable with, again, it's your fault. You really didn't use risk management. I know it sounds harsh, but I've never, ever, ever, ever had a problem with a broker other than Robinhood. It's a big touchy subject, but back in 2017, I mean, they'd have too much volume and they'd shut down for the day, and I've lost $300 or $400. That's the only situation that I've ever been in that it was the broker's fault that I lost money on it. I don't use any leverage. Yeah, definitely agree with you on that one. I don't use leverage on my trades. Like I said earlier, I don't use margin because the size in my account allows me to really make the salary I want to right now. And even if you did, so let's say you're not a good trader, you're not a great trader, you have really bad risk management and use leverage. Let's say you have a margin account with marginable $25,000 on it, and you say, okay, I'm going to use all of it. If you're even able to do that right now, and it goes down, you now owe your broker money. So going into debt is one of my biggest fears. I'll stay away from that 100%. I mean, you're not dumb for using Robinhood at all. I use Charles Schwab. If you're in the United States, I don't know if everybody in this chat is in the United States. Schwab is one of the best brokers I've ever used. I've used Thinkorswim, TD Ameritrade. I've used Tastyworks. I've used Robinhood, Webull, kind of during my experimentation phase. But the more and more I got into my strategy, the less I realized I need super, super fast executions. I mean, with Schwab, I've gotten better improvements on trades. It really is hard to find information on your own. I write, not really books, like little documents on kind of what I look for in trades, and that's why I kind of offered this. It's not hard to learn how to trade. You really think it's hard to trade because people fill your head with the misconception. If you know how to draw a horizontal line, you can trade stocks. As a technical trader, at least. When you go into more fundamental, the harder it gets. I found my mentors. I was actually just browsing for a mentor online, and it was this group chat I don't even know what they're doing now, but they worked on Wall Street for a while, and they just wanted to teach people how to trade. So it was expensive for sure to learn how to trade from them, but it definitely paid off multiple dividends. Let me type it in the chat for you guys. Yeah, I mean, right now I have a newsletter I send out. Not every really getting it started again. I'll type the web address in for you guys. Super affordable. It's $10 a month if you want to check it out. If you are a premium subscriber, you kind of see exactly what I've put out in the past. Some of the stocks we've covered today are in that newsletter. But yeah, I'm going to try to make this a part of my weekly routine as well to kind of go over charts for that newsletter. If you don't want, I'll send out free stuff for you guys as well on that newsletter, so you don't have to pay it. It's a 7-day free trial if you do sign up, though. What's up? So this is I don't go short, but this is what I would look for in a short play. So if you flip your chart upside down, if you're looking at it from a long perspective, you get a bull flag right here. If it breaks this 200-day moving average with volume, definitely a great opportunity for that stock. Again, I won't take a trade like this unless we're in a bear market, which we're not. We're in a really heavy bull market. But I don't even know why Colgate is in a position it is right now. You see where I try to make the bull flag case for, yeah, it's Investor Atlas, correct. Yeah, this trading view account, the level 2 is something I just had for a while. GEVO. Yeah, Forex layer, I don't actually do Forex. Again, couldn't even tell you how it works. I like this one. It's not bad. Under 15, really heavy momentum stock. I would want it to move sideways for a little longer, give it time to level out. Looks like it's really hot right now. You can see right here where this top is. It's if it consolidates under, say, 14 and a half, under 15, it's a nice spot. Nice. You're doing really well if you got in at $5. Yeah, I've just never been a type to really analyze a stock so deeply that I could get in at that low. I admire people that can do that. It's just so risky to do that. I have a predictable method I use and never really deviated from it. And the times that I did deviate from it, I know it sounds very stereotypical, I've gotten crushed multiple times from it. I mean, I've taken losses I could have avoided. And this is actually a pretty good macro, multiple month. See what it looks like on a longer term. Southern Co. Yeah, so this is a perfect chart right here. I like this one. 62. If we get a 62 breakout. In the longer term, the longer this resistance and support is in place, the harder it's going to be for it to break. But when it does break, it's going to move a lot. You can see how this one just started climbing and climbing. Obviously, huge dip with COVID quarantine, but 62 looks like a solid breakout. It really depends. I mean, if you're in at 5, I always say if you want to hold through earnings or hold long term, as long as you're up 20% on that stock, you really don't have too much risk going on. If you were in at $5, you're up a huge amount. If you feel like taking profits at 25, I'd say go for it. If you could take maybe 50% and hold on to the rest of the 50%, so you're playing with house money pretty much, and you have some extra cash to mess around with. That's what I do. If I have something like, well, it could move higher, I always take profits, maybe like 50% profits on the first big move or pop, like a couple bucks, make sure I bank it in, and then I'll move my stop loss up to break even. So I know if it does go back down, I get stopped out, I at least made some profit. Adam, let's see. There's very heavy momentum for sure. Spot right here, 35 would have been good to DCA, dollar cost average off of. We get a nice, what's that, line right here. Yeah, right there. If you would have gotten in at 34, because it's inside day, it's right under support, right under resistance. Boom, move to 47.5. You could ski. It is a green day, so if you want to buy in on this, the break of 39 or the high of this last green candle would be good. CWK. I don't see a pattern forming yet. It's actually just on its move down, so it might be a little while. Obviously, I'm big into breaking highs. If it gets up to 41 again, you got higher. But the place to be for this breakout formed a little bit of a wedge, tight consolidation here. I wouldn't have even known to buy it right here. I would have thought I would have kept going down. There's really no determining on when you could have bought this. It could have been a support buy, could have not been. Kind of out of my comfort zone on that one. But overall, a solid company from what I heard. Spotify, this is actually one of the trades I'm taking next week through 345, 343. I've actually taken this one. It's funny, my girlfriend actually pointed this one out a long time ago, right here. I didn't even see this, and she said, "Oh, it looks good." And I made a couple grand off this trade right here. This big move, and I added right here. So this is one of the macro just keeps on paying out. You want to look for these bull flags. I mean, this is a smaller bull flag right here, and then boom, shot higher. This is a bigger bull flag that's going to have a bigger move. And again, you just see the pattern repeating. Another bull flag right here, consolidation. It's moving higher. Consolidation on those moving averages is really nice. Let me check out for you guys. 1 second. Not a trade yet in PLTR. Again, you see a nice bull flag wedge right here, and just boom. If you would have gotten in at the break at 27.5, or even, I mean, the break, if it would have consolidated for a minute at 29, yeah, not a trade just yet. I would wait for a few more weeks for it to kind of work itself out, get rid of those weak hands, and figure out what the next move is. PIXY. Yeah, I don't see a trade in this one just because it's under its biggest moving averages. If it got above this and started forming patterns and stuff, yeah, but it's still down 90, more than 90%. I mean, what? That yeah, it's a lot. I wouldn't even go near this one, to be honest. But that's just me. I mean, if you're into that type of trade and you know your risk and you know kind of what your game plan is, hey, more power to you. BP. Yeah, I don't see a. I think this is the one you're talking about. Could be wrong. I don't see a pattern on this one. It's actually down a lot off its highs, and all of its moving averages are pointing down. Doesn't It's leveling out. I could see it going sideways for a few months, depending on what it is. Again, guys, I mean, don't take my word for any trades. Not a financial advisor. The whole disclaimer. You own all of your trades. I'm just here doing technical analysis, showing you what I'm trading. You can take those trades, but trades that you're in under what I say at all. That these are your trades 100%. If those are, I deal with the U.S. stocks right now. Let's see if I can bring some of these up. I'm going to have to get off here in a little bit, guys. We're just a little over an hour, but we'll be on next week. I'll look at a few more of these for you guys. PLC. Yeah, $30. Like it's testing that as a support now. Yeah, I'd just wait a few more weeks of consolidation. I don't really have a good play on that one for you. This is super, super low volume. I would stay, and I mean, this is sub a penny. I mean, this is, you could lose your shirt on this one pretty quick. I would spend zero. If this is the right stock, I mean, most of these days have zero volume. You'd be lucky to get in, and if you got in, your spread would completely eat your account alive. So I don't know anybody that's really made money off of sub penny stocks, just because they're super, super risky. Southern Co, I think I just looked at that one. Is that the SO? Yeah, let me see. I just added that to my list. Yeah, this is a big one. This is one I was just talking about earlier. 62 break looks really good with the 59, 60. All right, guys, I'm going to take these last three, and then I'm going to sign off. But I will be on next week. Yeah, this one, super down, 90%. Looks like it's just going to keep getting cheaper. I mean, if you're a scalper, I can see it happening. But for my strategy, I don't see it as a really good play. GAC, looks like it's close to the support, turning resistance into support. Break at 15, you could probably get in. I'd go super small on this one. But 18 is, if you can get up higher towards 18, consolidate for a couple weeks, and then boom, break out of 18 on good volume. Yeah, and this is a spec. VG Acquisition Corp. These are big names right now. I mean, they're just gonna, depending on what they acquire, they could shoot up tremendously. So. Let's see. I have Spotify on there because that it's bull flagging right now with a macro pattern. TNXP. Yeah, again, penny stock, not my forte, but I don't even see a pattern just going up at this point. If you were to get in this little resistance right here around $1, which $1 is for penny stocks is a big psychological level. It's already broken out 90% right now. Again, not my specialty, but if you would have gotten in, back on $1, you could have gotten pretty far. But I'd wait for another pattern to appear. All right, guys. We covered Tesla. If you want to watch this once it posts, but there's some good assessment. I'll look at QS, and then I got to sign off, guys. My dog's whining at me. Yeah, this is one that could move higher, depending on earnings did it well. If this goes up more and creates kind of a flag like we see here over back in December, and then creates a little flag, we could get a pattern, but this is going to be a while before that happens. All right, guys, I got to go, but remember, you own your trades. This is just, if you want to visit investoratlas.co, that is the watch list I'll be sending out every week. I already sent out the one for this week. There's only about 5-6 stocks on there, maybe actually probably about 10 stocks on there that I'm really watching this week, really dug into, really going to place trades on. So yeah, guys, check it out. Join me next week.